right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Stock Market Outlook video brought to you by DeepView. That is the platform you're seeing right here, and it's my daily driver for charting, screening, alerts, position management, watch list management, and a whole lot more. And if you're looking to try it out, go ahead and click the link that's popping up right now, as well as is located down below in the description. And as always, today we're going to run through the market indexes. We're going to take a look at some key stocks. I'll give my overall take on the health of the market. And definitely this week is a pretty darn interesting one. So stick around here. And if you do enjoy my analysis, please go ahead and leave a like down below. It really helps me out and my channel. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one every single week. All right, so starting with the NASDAQ 100 ETF, we've got the 21 EMA and 50 SMA here on the chart, as well as the 200-day right here. And this past week, we were in a down cycle here. And then on this Wednesday, we had a little bit of a pivot, some short-term momentum to the upside where we pushed back higher towards this gap area. And you can see on Friday that we gapped up, tried to push higher, and then were rejected down from that and closed closer to lows and close to this prior close here. And this rally up also coincided with that 21 EMA area, which to me is kind of the determination for upcycle versus downcycle, uptrend versus downtrend. And you can see going back in time, trading is pretty good, especially swing trading, momentum trading, when we're above a rising 21 EMA and when we're below a declining 21 EMA, the opposite is true. Things are choppier, things are in downtrends, and there's just not as many prime setups that will successfully lead to good trades. Excuse me. You can go back in time and just take a look at this. When we get below a declining 21 EMA, it's pretty much a time to be defensive and to make sure you're managing risk tightly and not forcing anything, over trading, all of that. You don't want to just continue to operate as if we're in this type of environment when we do switch to being below the declining 21 EMA on the QQQ, and especially when that coincides with weakness in the other key indexes. Bring up the IWO. This is more the smaller cap names. So right now we've been below this for quite some time. We can see the weakness was a little bit more apparent earlier here, where we got below this around early August after making these highs in late July. And you can see any rally has been rejected down from the moving averages here on the 50 SMA, and we continue to trend below a declining 21 EMA. We see the same kind of short-term bounce here late this week. But for me, this is more of a bounce within an overall downtrend, and less so kind of a setup for a new upcycle to begin. But we'll have to see what happens. If we go sideways, form out a range, and then pop through the 21 EMA, I think that's a lot different, especially if that coincides with more setups and leading potential groups, setting up well together and pushing higher on volume. But for now, I'm still pretty defensive here. And we remain below that declining 21 EMA, and on this index below the 200-day SMA as well, which is flatlining and is still increasing barely, but we'll have to see how that changes. And right now the 50 SMA is declining, 21 EMA is declining. There's no point in really trying to pick the bottom. Just wait for that strength confirmation to occur, and wait for a setup where we've got a consolidation. We pop above the 21 EMA, and then we get a trend and moment of opportunity, window of opportunity. So that's pretty much it for the key indexes. Bringing back up the QQQ. Again, potential key level here where we undercut and rallied here. And for me, what would kind of change my mind that this is just kind of a dead cat bounce is if we can firm up here, go sideways, build a range, then pop through the 21 EMA. That would be very constructive, and that would set up more of a double bottom base. But at this point, we were rejected down from the declining moving averages. And, it was just 2.5 days of strength within the context of a down cycle at this point, which kind of started here where we were rejected as we tried to push higher, expectation breaker below the 21 EMA, and then it was reconfirmed on this day. So we'll have to see what happens. These lows should be protected if this is the start of something new. And like I said, I'd love to see some sideways consolidation, then a push higher on volume through that 21 EMA. That would give me a lot more confidence about a potential new uptrend that could lead to a trend similar to this. Taking into account seasonality, this is pretty typical for what we usually see. So keeping an open mind, we'll see how the indexes as well as individual stocks shape up over the next week or two. So let's bring up some key stocks here. First, bring up Tesla. This you can see is forming a higher low versus this low, which is constructive. We were forming out a nice range here, but we broke down from that. You can see a failed move higher, and then we continued to weaken a little bit, filling this gap, undercutting this level, and now we're back up against the 50 SMA and 21 EMA. So once again, if this can firm out from a range, push higher on volume, that would be very constructive, but this is kind of a logical spot, a rally back into declining moving averages where we could be rejected down from. And if you're more focused on the short side, a decent spot to manage risk against these declining moving averages if we reject down here as well, with the potential target of the 200-day moving average or this prior low here. So Tesla, overall, I like the look of this base, normal consolidation, but in the short term, we're still below declining moving averages, which at the end of the game, at the end of the day, is the name of the game, and we'll have to see what happens and how that trend becomes defined. Moving on, we've got NVDA. This, you can see, pushed down hard, couldn't handle this base pivot, fell below it, below the 21 EMA as well, and now we were kind of wedging up higher. We popped higher on Friday, and for me, again, if this is going to stick and going to rally back to all-time highs, it needs to form out, a slightly sideways to down, constructive, tight range, and then reconfirm on volume, really emphasizing that institutions are behind this move versus if we, lose this low, continue down and break this wedge that's been kind of forming, that would just kind of reconfirm the down cycle to me. So we'll have to see what happens. Friday was kind of interesting. We had that gap up and then poor close, and we're kind of up in the air about which way we actually go. The short-term momentum, the very short-term momentum is up, but that longer-term cycle is still down. So we'll have to wait until we can get back above the moving averages to see where things lie. Moving on, some stocks that have been acting pretty well. PLTR, very powerful off the bottom here. So at this point, I'd love to see a rally, or not a rally, a range form above the 50 SMA, and then it'll either reconfirm to the upside or downside as I've drawn here. And the reason I have this on my radar is because it was so powerful up this move above a rising 21 EMA, and this is just kind of the second stage base that's forming up the right-hand side. So if this can firm up, I think it's one of the names to be focused on, especially bringing up the earnings and sales. Really amazing estimates. You do see guidance down most recently, but very strong growth here. And yeah, we'll have to basically see what happens here. This is kind of related to that AI theme as well, which could firm up and reconfirm. But as in the moment, you can see the poor close on Friday. I'd love to see it stick here, form a range, and then either reconfirm to the upside or downside. Also bringing up another name that's interesting, Duolingo. This is leading the cycle for sure, leading the market in the market cycle, forming a higher low here versus the 50 SMA, and then actually try to break out on Friday. Definitely a poor close, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Again, really amazing estimates. I know everybody's addicted to this thing. Everybody's learning languages and completing the challenges and everything. So definitely a name to keep on your radar. I like the story. I like the strength of the stock. And even though it was a poor close, in the context of the overall market, this acted extremely well. So let's go ahead and X this out. I do have a few more interesting names here. Let me bring this up here. There we go. AFRM, I like the powerful move here, pullback, poor close on Friday, but it's above the 21 EMA, just kind of watching this one. SMCI, again, the key spot, the declining 50 SMA, but powerful off the bottom here, and see if it can form out this double bottom base. This is still a flaw. I've noted this a few times, and this as well. These to me suggest distribution, but if this can firm out and push higher from here, I'd love to see that happen after a range forms over here on the right-hand side. CVNA, just kind of watching that. It's been one of the strongest stocks this year, just forming out a base consolidation, and see if it can pop back through the 21 EMA. DKNG, higher low here, up against the moving averages. So you can see a lot of these stocks are up against the declining 21 EMA and flattening to declining 50 SMA. So a key spot here where it's kind of make or break. So let me know in the comments what you think will happen. Is this a dead cat bounce, or is this the potential start of a new uptrend? A little wedgy here as well off the lows. PLTR we already went over. CrowdStrike held up pretty well, and it's staying above this base pivot and rising 21 EMA, so that's great. Didn't spend too much time down here, so it's acting pretty well. Mobileye is building out this longer base here and is a little bit wide and loose here, but I'd love to see it tighten and form a nice pivot, and it acted really well on Friday given the overall market weakness. NVDA, we already talked about. IoT moving off lows, still below the decline moving averages, so this is just kind of on the watch here. CLS acting really well, and we'll have to see if it continues to respect this rising 21 EMA. This has been super powerful, a little less liquid, but I'd love to see it kind of a range to form again. BRZE acting well and holding above a rising 21 EMA. AAOI up against those moving averages like a lot of stocks. FN, nice move here, and then didn't give too much back on Friday. MMYT, super powerful. This is another more lesser quality name that's just been moving really nicely, but above the moving averages. ATKR just forming out this base here. GSHG, insurance stocks have been acting well. This wasn't too hot this past week, but overall holding above a rising 21 EMA. This one has been acting super well. A nice breakout here, and then again did give back some, but holding above this consolidation pivot. FTI, nothing much to say here, holding that 21 EMA. So these are some names that just caught my eye, I think yesterday and on Thursday night, and I'll be doing my more thorough run through, and I'll have my wide list and watch list that I'll post tomorrow as well in my newsletter, as well as I'll make a video with my weekly watch list. So overall, more focused on the liquid names, the ones that are really showing relative strength, trying to break out in this environment, and we'll just have to wait and see which way the market chooses to go. Again, this is kind of the name of the game. Is this a dead cat bounce, or is this more of just a start of a new uptrend if we can form out a range and reconfirm to the upside? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. And that's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys found this helpful. Let me know down below your thoughts. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to see more videos just like this one every single week. And with that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.